Today's guest is a bodybuilding competitor, a wife, a mom, all these things she puts together, and she continues to try and compete and do what she loves to do. And the last time we talked to her, it was about 2 years ago. She wanted to compete again. Turns out she was pregnant, ended up having a kid, and just recently she got to compete. So we will find out how she got through that prep while having a child and having to deal with the ins and outs of being a mom. So today we find out her mindset, and here we go. This is Arielle Lopez. It's my foundation. It's my faith. It's my work ethic. It's my drive. It's everything that I've tried to build for myself that has made me who I am. I'll do what it takes to make you believe. So after that long bit of playtime we had, we'll try and get in a conversation, worth listening to for a little bit if we can. But so the whole thing I was thinking about, I think it's been 2 years since I've had you on last. And what I was thinking, and I just saw you competed.
Yeah.
And after you've had a kid, so how did that planning go about? What made you say, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to get back into this again?
Well, I feel like even when I was pregnant, that was something that I always wanted to get back into because it's something I love to do. It wasn't just let me try this and see how it goes and then kind of just move on. So I think that was something that in my head was something that I wanted to get back into. And then I wanted to get back in shape. So I started, working out again. I worked out 6 weeks postpartum. That's when I started back. And then I was, prepping for myself already. So I didn't really have a set goal. I'm going to get back on stage at this time. I mean, I did want to get back on stage, but with everything with COVID, they weren't necessarily doing shows. And then, I just wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So in the summer, I kind of just pretty much focused on getting back in shape. And then I kind of noticed that I was already kind of lean. So I actually hadn't picked a show. And then the August show was coming up and it was in Delaware. So it was a great location. I didn't have to travel. I didn't have to worry about, staying over anywhere or anything like that. So I kind of just was you know what, I'm going to add in cardio, kick it up a notch, see if I can get there. And then I think it was 2 weeks out is when I actually registered for the show. And then it was we're doing it regardless, I guess. Yeah.
How did you, because I think this is something that a lot of people deal with, is finding the time. I know when I was training people, I was here in the gym all the time, well, you don't have kids, so you don't know how hard it is to make time, blah, blah, blah. But then I look at you, and you're doing everything with your child, but you're also getting ready for a competition, and you're dieting down, you're doing your cardio, you're doing working out on a daily basis with your discipline. So, how do you put all that together?
I think it is really hard having a kid and actually making time for stuff. I think time management is a really big component of it. You have to pretty much schedule out when you're going to do stuff. And then you need a support system. So I was working out and not finding time to work out, but that might be, 30, 40 minutes for lifting, and I wasn't doing cardio. So when I decided, okay, I'm going to do this show, I need to add in cardio, I had to lean on my husband to get it done. So I would be all right, when you come home, I need to do an hour of cardio. I need to do 30 minutes of cardio. I need you to watch him for me. And he's pretty attached to me. So it does make it a little bit more difficult. And I would say that just finding time to work out is harder than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Like in my head when, I was pregnant or before, I was like, oh, I'll get up at 4 a.m. like I used to and work out.
Yeah.
And that's not really feasible for us. So I have to find time like during the day. I do it on my lunch. I get creative about like how I do stuff. So when he was little, I would like I was telling you earlier, I would strap him onto me in a carrier and we would do cardio that way, or I'd use them as weights in the beginning, just to kind of get that time. Or I'd split up like my time. I would do half of it when he would be sleeping, and then half when he was up or when my husband was up. So I think it's a lot of time management, support, and creativity, and also like dedication to it, I think are like the biggest things, and trying to find time when you are a parent.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. And that shows people a lot, and just shows people like how much you're dedicated to it and how much discipline you actually have. When you can, you focus on a whole human being, but then also be able to focus on yourself, even though it's going to be a little bit harder, And did that affect you prepping at all?
What, like him being
like,
around?
Yeah, just him being around and you not be able to kind of put your all. Like, do you think you gave it your all during this? No.
I mean, I think part of it was that I didn't really commit to it fully. So like I was doing everything I was already would have been doing in a prep. Yeah. I don't really think. I guess when you start out in prep, you kind of feel like it's like such a hindrance to everything. Like you can't go out, you can't do this. Like people are really in that mindset when they first start out. I feel like when you are further along in your like bodybuilding career, it's your lifestyle, so it doesn't really change that much. But there were times where like I wasn't like I didn't hire a coach. Because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to give, like, the last, like, 4 weeks or so, you have to do, like, an insane amount of stuff. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to commit to that. And I don't want to say waste anybody's time because, like, you're paying them, they are, but I didn't want to hire a coach and then every check-in be like, oh, well, I didn't finish it because of this. I didn't want to, like, make excuses, so I did it by myself. So I think part of it was like I didn't commit. Yeah. Even though I was doing everything like I would have been doing, I think like that mindset too is like a little bit different. So I feel like maybe if I committed sooner in my mind, maybe I would have been able to like push harder, or I would have been a little bit more meticulous about things in the beginning. By the end, obviously, you are meticulous, but you might need like 16 weeks where I don't think I like fully was as strict as I should have been in the beginning of where I would have needed to be for a prep if I since I didn't in my mind think I was going to be doing one as soon. But I think finding the time to do everything, I think I gave all I could with what I had. Does that make sense? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Because I think that's really all you can do at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to look at, like, what you're doing now compared to when you competed in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was all, my schedule was all me.
Right.
And
that's the kind of sport it is.
Yeah.
That it has to be all you. You can't, it's hard to have these distractions. And, I mean, maybe bodybuilding standards, you didn't look the way you wanted to get on stage, but by normal person standards, like, you blew things out of the water.
I think I was close, too. Yeah. Like, I definitely, like, I know you've probably seen my posts where I'm like, I wasn't where I wanted to be. I wasn't as lean enough. And then there were, I know, like peaking as far as, like, filling out, things like that. I wasn't exactly where I feel like I should have been. So I think I missed the mark on that one. But I don't think I would have necessarily missed the mark if I had like a coach who knew what they were doing. So I obviously didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I think this show was also a good show because it was small. It was like the Delaware show, so it was here. It moved really quickly.
Just easy, right?
Yeah, so like I knew that's one of the reasons why like I wanted to do it.
Right.
But now I know that I can do a show elsewhere. I can do like a national show. I can make that time and a commitment and actually do it.
Right.
So I think that's one of the reasons why it was like a good show for me to do. Oh,
definitely. You know, because being close to you, and I learned the hard way. You know, I think my last one I did was in Maryland, and traveling and taking food, and I had a cooler full of food, and all of it got soggy. So I had to go out to the grocery store. We had to go to, get different food. And I was like, oh, this is awful. My tan was off because I had sunburn like a week before. Oh, it was so bad. And but the Delaware one, got to go, come home to eat, and just go back. And it was just relaxed. Yeah. So that's why I thought everything else was going to be. And it just wasn't that way.
I do like traveling. Yeah. I kind of feel like you kind of are able to like get in your own little bubble. When you travel, and so I think that's fun. But yeah, especially for like the first one coming back, it just wasn't. I didn't think it was going to be something feasible for like to do with with a baby and everything. And right. We still nurse and we co-sleep, which I know not everyone agrees with, but like that's what works for our family, and it definitely wouldn't have worked going to like Ohio or something, right. With him. Right. So I mean, for everyone that's watching, they can see it now. Yeah. This dude is nonstop. Nonstop. Yeah. So. Yeah, you want this? You gonna sing? But yeah. So doing your prep yourself, I always talk about how my first ever show, I did it by myself. I knew how to do nothing. I was actually looking at different websites on what I should do. I had no idea. I ate tilapia for like 30 weeks straight because that's how I started out 30 weeks. I had no idea. Just chicken and tilapia, 30 weeks straight. And to this day, I can't eat tilapia. But even though I didn't know what to do, I got through that 30 weeks and I competed and I did all of it myself. And I still feel a great amount of accomplishment with that because I feel like it taught me a lot, more than going to school ever could. Mm. You learn about yourself, you learn about how your body reacts to certain things. And so how did that feel for you, not having a coach and you had to go off your own knowledge of stuff? Did you learn more about yourself and like more about your body or anything? I mean, I feel like I kind of, because it wasn't my first show, I kind of leaned off of like previous photos and things like that. So I think that kind of was a little bit different for me because I had something to look back on. And I kind of, because I've been competing and I've been dieting and I've done like multiple preps, I kind of know my body already. So I think that, I don't think I necessarily learned a lot about like my body. I think what I learned about was that I had the self-determination to do it, and that I could. Mm-hmm. I think it was more of like that type of motivation that because in previous preps, like I would kind of like, I would look at pictures or I'd look at other people and I would like totally mess up my head. And this time I kind of learned to trust my own self a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really what I learned, that like I can trust my own self in what I am doing, that I can believe in my own self. Right, and trust that you have the knowledge to be able to do that kind of thing. Yeah, and that like I could look at myself more objectively. And I feel like my mindset now, how I look, is definitely I have a better relationship with my own body, with with food and things. Mm-hmm. So I think going through that kind of like made me realize that. Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think about people, that don't have the kind of like determination and discipline? They kind of just come up with that excuse that say, well, I got a kid and I can't. Because I can't remember Jamie Easton. Does that name ring a bell? She's like a bodybuilding.com person. And a while back, I remember her having an article and she talked about having like 4 to 5 kids. And then she talked about how she planned her day out and all that kind of stuff and how she got a workout in and cooked for the family. I'm like, with 5 kids, how do you do all that? So I'm like, if someone like that can do it, anyone can. It's just about what's up here.
I also think it's not like the quantity of children you have, because when you have like for example, like I have a stepdaughter. When I was going to the gym and she was 7, 8, like I could just take her to the gym and she could stay in daycare. She kind of was like knew what was up and was fine. When they're younger, whether it's 1, 2, 3, like that's where it's really difficult because they don't understand, or they can't watch themselves, they can't entertain themselves, or they want you like all your attention 24/7. So I think that's like the difficult part. I think it's like, I don't want to like knock anybody because it is very difficult.
Oh
like
yeah,
if
100%.
if I didn't really want to change or to get back to the lifestyle that I was doing,
right,
like it would be so easy not to,
right,
because it's so difficult.
Right.
But I think part of it is like, it's hard to, like if it's not something you do every day, it's not something that's ingrained into your like everyday lifestyle, it's going to be hard to change and implement that with another like stimulus.
Yeah.
So I think it helps to already have that like mindset and that lifestyle, because it's so much easier to get back into it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just seeing other, even like with 2 kids or 3 kids, like it definitely, like you look at people and you're like, wow. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not knocking people for it. My whole thing is them using it as an excuse to just not do anything with themselves. I understand you got to look after someone else, and how hard it is, but it's just about how bad do you want it for yourself.
Yeah.
If you can't make time for that, you just don't care about it as much.
I don't think it's as big of a deal for men.
Yeah.
Because you kind of can just be like, oh well, like for instance, like I nurse him.
Right.
My husband's like, well, I don't have like the magic boobs, like I can't put him to sleep, and I'm like, okay, like.
Don't they make those now though?
Not ones that have milk in them. But yeah, so like I think for women it's a little bit more unique, because you do feel like you want to give everything to your children first.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you can't pour from an empty cup, you know? So like you should be able to take care of yourself, because otherwise you like kind of lose yourself in being a mom.
Right.
So that was like one of the things, like my identity has always been like part is sports or fitness or something to that aspect. That is like what I like to do. It's really the only thing that I consistently do as like a hobby.
Yeah.
So if I didn't do that, who would I be?
Right. And I think that makes that part of you, because also when he gets older and he sees, the way your work ethic and everything that you do, because you're still going to be doing stuff for him, doing stuff for your husband, and then also doing stuff for yourself. And I think that makes a great role model, as he just slaps you.
Yeah, so I do, like I said, I do think it's like definitely a bigger thing for women, and you get like mom guilt, like.
Yeah.
I don't know about older like moms, like when they're older, I feel like that kind of goes away a little bit. You might still have the guilt, but you don't feel the same way. Like I get, not necessarily so much anymore, but like when he was like the first year, he was like, I would get like a physical response to like to him crying. Like it would physically ail me, kind of. And like men don't get that. So I think that's like something that's more unique to women, and it's easier to make an excuse.
Right.
But I don't necessarily know if I feel like it's an excuse because I've gone through the fire and came out of the other side kind of thing. But yeah, I do think like if you really want it, you just gotta, you gotta like find it, find that time to or excuse or whatever. And I had a lot of people, I definitely had some people be like, oh, you're gonna be fat for the first year. You're gonna at least you're gonna only work out maybe twice a week, tapi
because that's what they did.
You're gonna be a mom. Well,
or they didn't do.
Some of them were men.
Oh.
But it's like I like tried to tell them, I was like, that's because the people that you knew that's what they went through, right? So that's what you saw, but that's not everybody. And that's like if it's your lifestyle, like you're gonna get back to it, you know. So I was like, I don't want to say like I wanted to prove them wrong because I kind of felt like I knew that was something that was part of me that I was gonna do, but there's a lot of people who just kind of feel like you're gonna fail, and that doesn't help you either. So I think people shame you for doing those things. Yeah. Like, oh, what, you don't want to like hang out with your kid, or oh, you're a mom now, so you can't, do bikini competitions, or you can't look a certain way because that's like makes you like a bad mom or something, like
that's crazy.
That I feel like that's another reason why people make that excuse, because they don't have the support system, or they have people in their ears saying like, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that. And being a woman, like, it's hard, and you have your own like self-doubts, and then if other people are over here like not believing in you, then it's kind of like, okay, well, that's just how it is, like that's how it's supposed to be. But when you have people who will support you and tell you like, I believe in you, like you kind of feel like, okay, well, maybe I can do this, and you start to believe in yourself a little bit more. Right. So I think that's part of the reason people like make excuses for that, because that's what everyone else is telling them too.
Oh, of course. So. And that's why you should only listen to people that support you. Because they've been around you, they know how you are, they know what you need, and that's why it's the thing I hate too, is when people try and tell you what you're gonna do. Mm-hmm. Oh, like, you know what I mean? Like I had a buddy, or I had a friend that went through that same thing. Like, you're just gonna end up like this. I'm like, what? You don't know me. How do you know I'm gonna just end up like that? Right. And and that's the other end of the spectrum, and that's one thing I hate. But where's your mindset at now that you've competed, you went through that whole thing? This is your lifestyle, so it's not like you just let yourself go and then wait till the next show. Yeah. But do you still want to like be in the bodybuilding realm, or do you just want to start focusing on like your health?
I kind of feel like you can do both. I know like it's this whole thing like you can't do both, but
competing and health is two different.
Yeah, but I do think you could do it in a healthy way. Like, so for me, like I want to build some muscle. Right. Just because I just personally, for me, I feel like there's areas that I lost muscle and that I would like to put back on. I do love bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. So I do want to like do that again. Like it is something I really enjoy. But right now the season isn't, it's not the season for that for me. So I would like to just kind of stay on, I don't want to say on the like lean, because like you, in order to like kind of grow, you kind of have to put on some weight. But I also want to just continue with like how I'm like doing everything, and stay a little bit leaner and try to put on some muscle that way. I do think like I said, I have a better relationship with food than I did before I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. So I think that like kind of helped. Like I don't feel like I've been as lean ever this long past the show. Right. And I think part of that's because I am not doing like a strict like meal plan. Yeah. I like my meal plan. They're a meal plan, but it's literally foods that I love. So like I enjoy every food I have. Like I eat a chocolate rice cake and peanut butter like every day. Yeah. And that's like something I fit into what my macros are. So like I enjoy all that stuff. So I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And I think that's like the biggest difference for like this prep that I did. I struggled. Like there were things like that were hard, but to me, like it didn't feel like I was missing out on anything.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I made sure like when I did my prep that I put food in that I liked, and so every meal was like something I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So it didn't really feel like the struggle that I had in the past because it wasn't that way.
Right.
So, yeah, I do think like you can kind of like focus on health, but like there are a few like coaches now who are into like they don't call it off season, they call it like health phases.
Right.
And it is like more focusing on like what your health is, like getting, blood work, making sure everything's like good, and then working on putting on like improvements, because you can't really improve on anything if your health sucks.
Right.
So am I in a health phase? Yeah, I would say I'm kind of like in a health phase, growing phase, and then we'll see.
Right.
Once I'm like where I want to be, if that's when like we'll decide if I'm gonna get back on stage or anything.
Right. Yeah, because I mean that's sort of where I'm at. I'm in a health phase where I'm eating like nutrient dense foods. Focusing on which nutrients I need, to live everyday life, and to keep me to build my immune system, to help me, just keep going, working out.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and that's the difference between doing that for health and then also, trying to burn fat or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I also feel like I said, I think you can do both. I think when you look at the professional bodybuilders, I mean, there's been a lot of other issues that have been going on that aren't new.
Right.
But I feel like when you look at the people who've been competing for years and years and years, they are more healthy. Like they're not the people doing, insane amount of cardio and just bombing gear that they don't understand, or that's kind of like an amateur type mindset where you're I'm just gonna do whatever I gotta do to get there. Like the people that have longevity in the sport are thinking about health.
Yeah.
So there might be a period of time where they're prepping that their their calories are low or whatever, but the majority of the year, in order to make it a lifestyle, you have to think about your health at some point,
Right.
And kind of build that in to everything that you do year round.
Does that sound good to you, Gio?
So no one's gonna want to watch this because I'm crying.
Does that sound good? You can say hi to everyone? Can you say hi? No? You grumpy? Alright, well I think we got a sufficient amount of time in. Because I know he's grumpy and everything, so. But I thank you for coming on, and thank you for talking about, having him and what you had to do to go through that and also compete.
Yeah.
Because those are two things that people wouldn't put together.
But they should, because there are a lot of, especially when you look at the pros and stuff, there are a lot of moms.
Oh yeah.
I don't think people really think about that. A lot of them are moms, and they just kind of don't put that together because they don't necessarily share that part of their lives.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of competitors that are also moms. So I think you can't. I don't want to say you can't use that as an excuse, but use that as as your driver.
Yeah.
I'm on this group. It's called Milky Fitness, and it's a Facebook group. And they kind of try to help moms who are nursing kind of lose weight and stuff. And I posted my picture after, and I was look, I know it kind of seems I can't do this because of this, but maybe instead of using your kids as your why not use them as your why?
Of course.
100%. I can do this because my kid, because I want to show them that I can overcome adversity, or I can overcome anything that I want to, and that you can use that for them to look at and make yourself proud afterwards, So.
Yeah, and when he gets older, I'm going to show him this.
So you'd be embarrassed.
Be look at you. Look what you were doing, man.
You were crying and everything.
Look what you were doing. You say bye? All right. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Us.
Yep.
Sorry.